about Justin Westhoff's omission this week?
Yeah, no, Westy's just purely not selected. His form hasn't been as good as we'd like it to be. He knows that himself. He'll come back. He'll bounce back, and obviously we've got a challenging little period coming up. So he'll play some part of that, I'm sure.
How's the conversation like that with the elder statesman of the club who's been around for a long time?
Yeah, look, it's a little more difficult, there's no doubt, but it's no different to any player at the club, and all the boys know that. They know, and they want to be selected on good form, and as a team we're in pretty good form, so we need to keep looking for the opportunities to give other people chances.
What is, for someone that plays in so many different positions on the ground, how do you say to him we want you to do what better?
Oh, no, Westy knows his game is true utility. So wherever we need him to play that role better. And at the moment, it's been a little bit more forward ruck, and he hasn't been able to influence the game enough for us in those two areas at the moment. And we think we're prepared to have a look at some other options there.
We thought that maybe Connor might be in a bit of trouble, but he's not. He's good to go.
Yeah, Connor's fine. Yep, Connor's right to go. Well, obviously, we'll be as we've been selected, and unless anything goes wrong between now and the start of the game, we'll be okay.
He said last night on radio that injury is something that won't just go away overnight, but he has to manage it a little bit. How are you guys approaching it with someone who has such a bright future?
Yeah, no, we wouldn't put him at risk from a long-term point of view, but it's a pretty simple injury that you manage with. It's not one that causes too much concern, and if it becomes any more concerning, we just wouldn't play him.
Matters of improvement this week after the Carlton game. What did you look at and pull out of that? Apart from having to need a shot after the sirens a minute, what did you need to get better at this week?
Oh, look, it was a pretty good game of footy, so to sit there and say we needed to get better at one or two different things. I mean, throughout the game, there was parts of the game we could have got. I think right near the end, our finish could have been better, couldn't it? I mean, we had opportunity to put 2 or 3 goals on the board that we blew, and it took us a pretty special kick by Robbie to get us over the line. But to sit here and be too critical of the performance, I thought it was, on reflection, you watch the game back, so it was a pretty good game of football for anyone who was watching it, and unfortunately we're invested emotionally, so it makes it a bit harder.
How does that make it for you as a coach? Because I know we've asked that sort of question previously in years gone by, and you've rattled off a list of things that you need to get better at, and you've just said you're pretty happy with how it's going. How does that make a week for you as a coach? Yeah,
look, the week's fine. We've got a pretty reliable game style that we know now, and we know pretty well. So I think we're always looking to make it better as I said, on a day, in a moment, in a quarter. But there's parts of our game that we understand that are really important to us, and we continue to fine tune them every week, and that's where we stay. We stay with our attention on us as much as we possibly can.
Is it more enjoyable for you this year, Kenny, than years gone by, given the results?
It's been a challenging year. I mean, it's thrown up some unbelievably different challenges, but look, it's clearly it's more enjoyable when you're winning. There's no doubt about it. I think more importantly for us is when we're becoming a little bit more resilient, consistent, reliable. All the things, and we're still got plenty of room to improve, because we know. I mean, the ladder says we sit on top. We're a good team. We get that, but we've got to continue to improve if we want to be staying around that area of the ladder.
That word resilience has come up a lot in your press conference, player press conferences. What does that mean to a football team?
Pretty much means just hang in there and know when you need to just keep grinding away. As I said, not everything goes perfect in a game of football, and to be able to get over those moments where it doesn't go perfect is pretty important. And for us as a group, we've been able to do that. We've had a number of games this year where we haven't had moments great, but we've been able to respond. And last week's a great example. We've blown a few chances. You sometimes lose your belief, but to the boys' credit, TJ's mark, a few bits of play off that Maisie's kick, Robbie finish. I mean, it's pretty resilient stuff.
Todd been sort of polishing Robbie's shoes all week. I saw him after the game. He was the first person he walked over to and gave him a big hug.
Yeah, I think he was pretty grateful, but I think Charlie probably would have been too, and I think a number of players, everyone was grateful for Rob. It's simple to look at the goals you miss, but it's some of the other mistakes that go on throughout a game are just equally vital to you. I mean, I loved Robbie's finish. I loved Zach Butters' mark on the goal line at the other end as well, so that kept us in the game. So there's lots of things that were good, and there was a few things that weren't so.
The 2 boys that are out, have you got a bit more of an indication on how long Bert and Motlop will miss for?
Yeah, Bert's probably a little bit more than Mott's. I think Mott's, Mott's is a difficult one because it's a mid-foot sprain basically, and sometimes they can get better really quickly and can be a week, and all of a sudden there's a rapid improvement, or sometimes it can be a couple of weeks. But I think Mott's would be probably a cup. Bert's is probably a bit, with the condensed part of the season coming, he's probably going to look to miss 3 or 4 games, I'd imagine, with the way it's going to play out now.
What do you have to do with Ryan Bert? You just can't seem to get soft tissue parts of his body right. And I know you've had really modified training programs for him in the past. How do you have to adapt it so that this doesn't happen again?
It's a hard one because in racing speak, he's a thoroughbred. He's highly strung. He's a really powerful athlete, and that's what those players. There's always a risk with them. And he's only young. He's still, developing his body and his strength. But all I know is that when he's ready, he'll play because he's a really important player for us. He's been a really good get for our footy club.
You were asked on Monday night, I think, about the condensed fixture, and you said you weren't sure whether or not you'd be able to play most boys for most of it, or whether or not you'd have a 10-person rest week type thing. Have you had the chance to think more about that and how it would look for Port Adelaide?
Not so much, because I'm focused on St Kilda. So I'm wanting to make sure that we get our team right, because we've got a game here tomorrow night and we're going to have 20,000 Port people here. So we want to make sure that we get this week's right, and then we'll straight away on Sunday hook into the next part of the season, and we'll get to narrow our focus on the next game, and we'll work with it. But I can't give you the simple answer because we don't know. No one's been through this situation that we're faced with now, so it'll be a little bit horses for courses. See how it's going. How sore are some? How sore are others? We'll wait and see what that looks like. But as I said, also the other night, is that we'll respect the competition as best we possibly can, and we want our best players out there. Our people want to see our best players out there all the time, and we're not in the business of not trying. We want to win every game we can. We've said that from the start of the year.
It's up to the players, really, isn't it, at times to say perhaps this one's not for them?
No, our players won't say that. They just want to play, and they want to play every game, and that's what'll make it challenging. It'll be players will never want to not play. They'll always want to play. We've got to manage them well with our conditioning team. We've got a great conditioning team and medical team, and we'll make some good decisions if we need to at that time. But if our players are fit and they're ready to go, there won't be too many roadblocks put in their way by us.
On that,
So how are you and the players feeling about your chances against St Kilda tomorrow?
Oh, look, we're confident that we can come here and play good footy. We've played good footy, so far for 6 out of 7 games, and we've got great belief in the way we play. We know how good St Kilda are. We only seen them here late last week, and early this week, wasn't it? Monday. So we'll get a chance to see what where we're at. The competition's thrown up so many different things, and for us this week to be home is a little unusual. So that'll be interesting to see how we handle that.
In terms of crowd numbers, SA Health revising the number from 25 to 20,000 capacity. Is that a blow, or do you think that's probably still?
Oh no! Look, we work with SA Health on anything. We're grateful that 20,000 is allowed at the footy. We've been to games this year. There's been no one at the footy, so any numbers are a real win. And for the Port people, I think there might be a handful of tickets left. For the right members, you get along and come and see us play, because we just don't know how long it's even going to last, do we? With the situation that we face now.
Passion from the youth players so far. He's doing minimal crowds. How's it going to go with 20,000?
It'll be exciting to have them. I mean, every footy club, I suppose, but the Port fans, they'll be loud. We'll feel like it's 50, I'm sure, when we get here tomorrow night, and that'll be exciting for everyone. And our players are looking forward to that opportunity.
Key players that perhaps need to be shut down. Looking at the Crows game on Saturday night, looked like Jack Steele was the man in the middle, but they've got a few boys that can hurt you.
Yeah, really. I reckon they're a really balanced team. I mean, they've got obviously some key backs, key forwards. They're a pretty balanced team, I reckon. And Rats is doing a really good job with the way they're going at the moment. And our challenge is not to narrow our focus on too much on St Kilda or too much on an individual player, but make sure our focus is fairly squarely on us and how we play. Yeah, both great blokes. I mean, both fantastic people and been good players for our footy club over the journey, but they're now opposition players, so we're looking to beat them, and that'll be no different. Both boys will be looking to beat us. We'll do everything we can to make sure they lose.